Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm super excited to be interviewing Reese today, all about University of Central Florida and the BFA MT program there. So without further ado, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. My name is Reese Abrahamoff. I go to the University of Central Florida, and I'm a freshman. I'm in the BFA Musical Theater program here, so I'm really excited.
Nice. So what was your personal application and audition process like? And then just what's the general process for your school?
Yeah. As far as the auditions go, you of course have to start with your pre-screen. You have to send in, I think it was like one monologue and two songs. And then something interesting about the school actually is that it's a lot harder to pass the pre-screen than actually get into the school, if that makes sense. So they only take like 80 to 100 pre-screens out of however many people apply, which is a lot. So they take those 80 people, 80 to 100 people, and then from there they have like two separate auditions. So you have like one with like 40 people, another with 40 people. So it's actually a lot easier to, once you've actually passed the pre-screen, get into the school, or at least get an offer, as far as like waitlisted or actually just getting in. So you go and you do obviously your two songs. You don't actually have to do your monologue because they already saw that. And then you have a ballet combination and you have a jazz combination. And it's super cool because some of the seniors are the ones leading it. So it's not necessarily like the directors or the choreographers that are doing it. So it's really chill and it was super fun. Another thing that we have is like we had an audition buddy, which I was never familiar with before. So when I got like a DM on Instagram saying, "Hey, I'm your audition buddy for UCF and for your audition," and I was like, "Oh, hi, like who are you?" They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm just here to like introduce myself. If you have any questions, I'll be there on the day of your audition." And then when we got there, they brought us like these bags of like food and like water bottles and like cough drops and stuff like that. So it was really welcoming and just like an amazing environment to be in for that, little time that we were there. So yeah, it was awesome.
I'm also so glad that you mentioned about the pre-screen because I remember when I was auditioning, I think it's like I at least felt like I had a big misunderstanding on like what pre-screens were and like what different schools look for. Like I thought it was just like a baseline, like, oh, does this person have like any sense of pitch or like, you know what I mean? And I think it's so different school to school. So knowing that your program is like really makes the cuts early on is like good for someone to know so that it just to know it's not the end of the day if like you don't pass that
Yeah,
pre-screen or
no, yeah.
like when I did pass my first one, I was like, oh wait, do I like not have talent? Like I thought like I thought everyone passed pre-screens, but it's
No,
like
yeah, it
no, you
totally
know
it
what they're
ranges
looking.
from different schools for sure. They know who they want at first, and then they'll give you another chance. And if you do great in your audition, then you're probably get an offer. So it's really different.
Yeah, which at the end of the day, I think can also it's really interesting. I've never heard of a school doing it that way, but I think it can be really great because it's not something personal. Like I said, it doesn't mean you don't have talent. It's like if you're not a good fit for that school, it's kind of nice to know earlier on than when you have to like fly down or, you know. Do you guys go to
100%.
unifieds too, or is it just those two on campus days then?
Yeah, they do not do unified auditions. They only do it based off of the I think it was like the common pre-screen. I think it's called through accepted. Um, so
Oh,
they just have that, and then yeah, because they have like a lot of people already applying, so they cannot afford to go and have more people audition because they have to make so many cuts. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So how many are you taking? So you said it's about after pre-screen, it will be down to like 80 to 100. And then how many do you take in your class?
so they take 8 boys and 8 girls, and then you have like a waitlisted set. So I think it's also a waitlisted 8 more boys and 8 more girls. So I think it's about 32 people total that get an offer.
Okay, interesting. And then can you break down what your guys' curriculum is like? Especially,
Yeah.
I always like to ask if you think your school focuses on either acting, dancing, singing more than one or the other, or if it's really split. Because I think for people auditioning, that's really important to know that some programs do like to emphasize one aspect of it, or other programs really like to make you as well rounded as possible.
Yeah, so here at UCF, it's very, very split. So you have specific classes you have to take each year that are provided by the school. So like they gave us a list of things that we actually have to do. So like our freshman year, I had to take music theory all throughout freshman year. I had to take piano. I had to take ballet 1 and 2, and I had to take. We do something really interesting here for our voice classes. It's like a specific study of the voice, I guess you want to say. It's called Estel, and it's just like a very specific way of singing, like a healthier way of singing, I guess you want to say, which I think is really interesting that we do here because it's not done, I don't think, anywhere else. I think we're one of the only schools that really focuses on that. But as far as like dance goes, we have so many opportunities for dance here. We have a dance minor, which a lot of the musical theater majors are in because in our BFA degree, we have, like I said, specific classes. And then in order to get the dance minor, you only have to take like 3 extra classes to get that minor. So it's just like something interesting that you can put on your resume. So like, oh yeah, I'm like a dance minor. I can dance. You know what I mean? As far as acting goes, we have actings 1 through 4. And then we also have like student directed pieces, I guess you want to say, that the directing class handles. So we have plenty of opportunities to act. We have, I guess I'll get more into that when we talk about performance opportunities. But yeah, for acting, I guess you want to say we don't start our first semester with acting. We do that later on. So we just started acting 1 this second semester. And then we progressively do more and more acting each year. So I guess we're starting a little bit less this semester or this year, and then we're going to build up to more acting classes throughout the 4 years here.
And then what about core classes too? Are you guys pre-conservatory, or I feel like most people at the end of the day have some type of math or history, science classes there.
Lucky for me, I took a lot of classes in high school, so I don't have to take basically any. I think I have to take maybe 1 or 2 gen eds, and those are definitely required here. You have to take your math classes, you have to take your history classes, you have to take your foreign language credits. So there's definitely a curriculum that you have to follow as far as the guidelines of just the school of UCF. But my advice for that is to knock them out as early as you can, because I didn't take any gen eds this semester, and I was so much more put together than other people were because like they were focusing on like their science class, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm just practicing my monologue, and they're like, oh, I got to study for this test. I'm like, I'm so happy I dodged that. But if you want to get rid of them, if you do have them going into your freshman year, and if you do want to get rid of them, summer classes are a great way to get rid of those and not have to like take those classes during the year when you're trying to do what you love and study theater. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I know when people ask like, oh, like how much do grades matter in high school, or like, do I need to be taking APs? I feel like if you or someone like if you can take an AP and like that's not going to kill you in high school, it can be a great bonus, or like any ways to get those credits. Like I know some of my science, like I was able to just like take it like through call. I have friends who like in high school like took it through a college, so they got the college credit, and then that way they didn't have to take it. And I think if you're not gonna like kill yourself doing that, it's so worth it. If you're someone who's like school is not your thing, then like don't stress about it. You could do it as a summer course, or just like you can make it work. But the more you get them out of the way, because any MT, like as I've interviewed so many people, like your schedule's gonna be so busy because you're kind of majoring in 3 things already. Like you're a vocal major, you're an acting major, and a dance major all at the same time. So you're right. It's nice to just be able to focus on
So much better.
For your homework
So
at the end. To be like memorizing a song, or like all I have to do is make sure I can like be my best in jazz tomorrow.
Exactly, 100%.
Now, can you dive into those performance opportunities? Both, I always hearing about because most your school itself will produce like a main stage, but then a lot of schools have really exciting student run opportunities, student directed, choreographed, whatever it may be.
Yeah. So we do, I want to say 5 to 8 main stage shows a year. So yeah, we have so many main stage shows.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I know a lot of programs don't let freshmen audition, but luckily here we are allowed to audition. Their motto is whoever is the best for the role is going to get the role. Whoever's the like the best dancer or whatever is going to be put in the dance ensemble or something like that. But we also, like you said, have student direction opportunities. We have student choreography opportunities. As far as the student direction goes, we have this program called Project Spotlight, which is basically like you said, a student run organization that they actually write their own shows and then have student directors come in and student actors come in and they put the show on. So it's completely student done. There's no faculty involved. It's just like completely low stake, kind of performance. So I was in one last semester and I'm in another one this semester. And it's just something to put on your resume. It's especially if you're directing and you've never directed before, it's definitely like a good introduction to it because it's not like an entire full length show. It's like one act, you know what I mean? So it's not like that stressful. It's just something to do and, more experience that you get. As far as the main stage show goes, we do something really, really awesome every year called UCF Celebrates the Arts, which is basically like a week or two at the end of each year where we celebrate the arts. So every year we switch off it's called the Dr. Phillips Center. It's like basically where the touring companies would come and perform their shows. So it's like this huge, massive Broadway, I guess you want to say, theater. And we actually get to perform our main stage show there. So last year they did like the Titanic, and next year we're doing Shrek. So that's going to be really awesome. But we switch off every year with a dance concert. So this year we're doing a dance concert. Anyone's open to audition, BFA acting, BFA musical theater, or people who are in the dance minor. And it's just a very inclusive thing. There's so many different types of dances. We have this class that you're required to take as a dance minor called Improv Comp, where basically you are a choreographer and you have to choreograph a routine, a dance, and you have to pick dancers to audition for it. And then whoever has like the highest rated dances, they get to perform their piece, or they get to have their pieces selected to be in the dance concert where we perform at that huge theater where so many people come and watch. And it's really awesome that we get to do that. But we also have like our black box theater, and we just have our regular main stage theater. So we definitely have different places where we get to rehearse and we get to practice and just put on shows, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I love that you said you guys are doing Titanic and then Shrek because those shows are both so different.
It's so different.
Very different vibes, but both amazing. I love both those shows. And what else? So you mentioned you have the big main stage theater and a black box theater, but can you talk more about your campus for those who can't go down and visit right now? Like, what's the layout and kind of vibe around campus?
Yeah. So UCF is actually, I think, the second biggest school in the nation, biggest public school in the nation. We have about 65,000, 70,000 kids that go here. So campus is always like something's happening all the time. You'll walk around, you'll see people like playing football, sitting in hammocks, very like campus style, something you'd see in like a movie. It's huge, the school, but it's also not as big as you would think it is, because you can just like take a scooter. They give us scooters here, so you can just like scooter around like 5 minutes to get to the other side of campus. It's awesome. There's obviously so much to do. We just had like 2 weeks ago, we just had like a spirit week where there was like concerts and talent shows and just different things to do throughout the day and at night. So yeah, it's very Florida-y, very beachy, I would say. A lot of water everywhere. It's absolutely beautiful campus. And our rehearsal spaces as well are beautiful.
That's amazing. So what made you choose to go there? Like, what's some of your favorite things about the program?
Yeah. So I wanted to be able to have as many opportunities as I could. Whether this means having connections through, obviously we're in Orlando, so we have so many connections with Disney and Universal and different theme parks around. We also are in partnership with two humongous theaters, the Orlando Shakes and the Orlando Rep, and we are like in direct partnership with them. So they take UCF students all the time, and it's professional. You get equity points. It's so convenient for us. But as far as why I wanted to come here, I really wanted to be close to the theme parks, because working at Disney or Universal is something that I've always wanted to do. We're working on a cruise line. We have so many connections with cruise lines as well. So I just think something that really drew me here was the fact that I will have access to so many different things, you know, whether that be like Project Spotlight, where I want to direct something, or if I want to perform on a Disney stage, you know what I mean? Don't, it's also, I'm from Florida, I'm from South Florida, so it's very cheap for me. And yeah, I do not regret coming here at all. I absolutely love it.
In terms of, can you speak a little bit, because you just said it is cheaper, even for out of state, does it still tend to be a cheaper tuition without talking money too much?
Yeah, it does.
Because
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, because I always like a huge thing. I mean, you know, it's personal, like go where you can, or everyone's financial situation is different. But I just feel like as a performer, we're not going into high paying jobs that like the more you can put yourself in the best financial situation to have less debt going out of school, like the better off you are. That way you just like don't have to worry about it, and it can give you more freedom to like not have to be worrying about booking like a really high paying gig, you know? Like it can be nice to have that going out. So yeah, that's awesome. That
My thing is something that I always had to think about when I was auditioning for schools is that, you know, you make the most of where you end up, and where you end up is where you belong. So if you go to a school like we mentioned before, that's not like as known or is not as ranked as another school, that doesn't really mean much to me because, you know, like I said, you make the most out of whatever situation you're put in. As far as finance goes, it's a public university, so it's going to be a lot cheaper. And they send us scholarship opportunities literally every day. So I went in having to pay like a good amount, but now I'm literally like getting paid to come here because I just keep getting money back from scholarships. So there are really so many opportunities that you can find that will put money right in your pocket. I know that some of my friends who are out of state, obviously they're going to be paying more than somebody who is in state because that's just how the system is. But like not just through UCF, but also through Theater UCF, they just send us emails every day about different things that you can apply for. And you also have like work study as well, where I know that people are getting paid to, you know, do like promotional advertisements on our Instagram, or and they just have different benefits like that. Some people are even getting the vaccine because they can, you know, they technically work here and stuff. So it's so many different things that you can do to just make sure that the cost is not so much, because like you said, we are not going into a career that's going to pay us that much.
yeah.
So it's much better to, in my opinion, go to a school that you can, I don't want to say afford, but something that's like reasonable for you, but also where you're not like tearing yourself apart later on because you're in so much debt later on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I love that you mentioned the work study too. Like that's amazing that your school is like pushing these scholarships for you, or you know your department is offering you jobs. That's so important. I think when you're looking at programs, like a lot of schools will employ their students to like work the box office if they a theater, like just any little job you can do. I know my school, like right now, a lot of alum, they call them like campus attendant. So they
Okay.
literally just made COVID, like social distance in the hallway, and we just have them around to like promote stuff like that. But I think it's really important that to have a school and program that's going to back you
Yeah,
financially,
sure.
help you figure out that work while you're at school and beyond.
Another thing that they do actually is obviously we all want to work during the summer. We all want summer stock opportunities. So we participate in SETC every year. I think the Southeastern Theater Conference, where we actually get a coach who's one of our professors here, and we, you know, give them our material, and they coach us through, like individually, they coach us through our monologue and our song, and then we submit it. And if we hear back from them, we can keep working on it until we actually go to the physical conference. I think this year was supposed to be in Memphis, but obviously it's virtual now. So we're still waiting to hear back from some companies about summer stock opportunities. So I think that's really cool that they you know, are giving us these opportunities to actually go out and find professional work.
That's amazing. Yes, it's so important that connections are everything. I think I've said this in like my past 5 videos, but they just are. And it's really nice to make sure, I think, when you're looking at school, to not just think training, but also like how am I going to be getting experience, whether it be summer stock or just making connections later on, you know, in showcases and stuff. And because I don't think there's ever like, there shouldn't ever feel like pressure. Like you don't need to come out of college with a huge resume. But at the same time, if that's your thing and like you want to, it's so useful if you can start getting more experience and just, you know, building what's on that resume.
Yeah.
What have you guys been doing this semester? Are you hybrid, in person? How's that been going?
So our first 2 semesters have been so different. The first semester, we did something really interesting. Well, this was all thought of during the time of BLM and when everything was kind of going on. We had 4 virtual shows that were all written by people of color and were all performed by people of color, which was something that was really necessary that we needed to do. It really showed, you know, the diversity that we have and the commitment that we have and the support that we're showing. So we did those virtually. And then we had another show, Much Ado About Nothing. And that was virtual, which was a really weird but awesome experience as well, because that's never something that you would like see done through like Zoom and through a virtual format. So this current semester, we had 3 main stage shows. We are not allowed to sing together, so we couldn't do a musical, but instead we did something different where it was like a musical review, I guess you want to say, a concert, where we just did a different combination of solos that were all like songs of inspiration to like bring the light into the world, I guess you want to say. It was the first in-person performance we did since they shut down last March. So that was really awesome. And then they just did 2 other shows, Scaramouche and Naxos, which is this very commedia dell'arte show, very funny. And then they did The Grumpiest Boy in the World, which is a theater for young audiences show. And they're actually taking that on a tour, I guess you want to say. They're going to different elementary schools, middle schools, and like performing for the little kids in like their playgrounds, obviously socially distant and everything with masks. But yeah, they're really doing a lot with what is hard to do. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's been really inspiring to see how every college, every theater company is just like they're trying to make it work, and people have gotten really creative with it. It's just been really fun to watch, to be honest, you know. And I've been some things, but as much as I think we're all itching to be back in person because nothing can replace live theater, you know, these are all just like different ways of doing it. But it's still fun in the meantime to get really creative with it.
Yeah, for sure.
So those are all the questions I have. Do you have any final things you want to add? Or just a piece of advice? I like to end on like a little piece of advice for those auditioning.
For sure. Something I just want to say that really kept me going last year is you will end up where you're meant to be. I was accepted into a couple other schools, and I can say without hesitation that this is the absolute best choice for me. And you just find a sense of community and where you belong, because I know that a lot of people in high school don't really care about theater. They're just doing it for fun. So when you really get into a space where everybody wants to be here, it's a whole different setting. Everybody just wants to get better and everybody wants to get booked. And the biggest thing is that like we all root for each other here. Like the more successful other people are, the more successful we're going to be later on, because you know they came to UCF, we're from UCF. Hey, we have connections now. You know what I mean? So yeah, just don't stress. You will end up where you belong, and just have fun. Really, just have fun.
Yes, that's huge. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I'll link your information down below. I always encourage people, if you are interested in UCF, please comment, ask any further questions. If we didn't cover something that you're curious about, I can always get you in touch with Reese to get those questions answered for you. So,
yes, 100%.